Before we start today's video, I wanted to take the opportunity to make two minor announcements. The first is an apology to you. You see, for the last 3 weeks, I have been unable to record a video for Thursdays. Now, the first two were dental appointments, and last Thursday I was afflicted with the sickness. And this made it so I was unable to function. Now, I know to many people this could be considered, and the dental appointments, valid excuses if I am unable to articulate a thought without sounding like I'd had a stroke, or sounding like I was going to have a mental breakdown mid-video. But I hold myself to a high standard because I enjoy what I do and like to do what I do on the regular basis that I do it. So when I'm afflicted with the sickness, I find it to be quite irritating. The second is to shill Direwolf's Twitch channel. You see, Direwolf and we get on. He's on my server on Discord, he's intelligent, makes good content. But he got a strike, and it's being believed that it's because of something he said with regards to how to deal or address immigration problems in France during the France general election in 2016, 2017, 2016 I believe, where he made 3 suggestions. Essentially, fight, flight, or get involved in politics, which is an extension of fight but more verbal, so let's call it fight, flight, verbal fight. He suggested obviously and indicated the third being the more preferable, as revolutions haven't worked out well for France in the past. And flight, well, that doesn't solve the problem at all really, does it? Link to his Twitch in the description. Please consider following him and or subscribing if you want to, or are interested in political discussion based streams. I will myself be featuring on there in the near future. Now, the subject of today's video is not going to be about Anjem Choudhury, a hate preacher in this country being released from prison and now trying to sue, I think, the police, or the prison, or somebody, who knows, maybe someone threw some pork at him, maybe someone pistol whipped him with bacon, I don't know. We are instead though going to focus on grooming gangs. Now, do you all remember this?
The content of what I'm streaming, I'm being arrested for breach of peace. I've been arrested for breach of peace. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. Can you get me a solicitor? Can you get me a solicitor?
Can you just turn off your live feed?
Can you get me a solicitor?
Just turn off your live feed, please.
Yeah?
Do you understand what the
No, can you explain it again?
arresting suspicion causing a breach of the peace?
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean, officer? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
I'm told that the police are doing the case.
Not at all, he's never said that.
George, that's the information I've got.
I'm inciting people. I'm inciting people.
His video
How have I incited
He
people?
hasn't.
This is free speech. This is where we're at. You're not even allowed to. Look at this.
Look how many people.
Man, what you try and hide? Do you know when you do this? More people.
Do you any sharp things or lighters or anything?
Just
let them do this.
More people are going to watch this now than ever. This is ridiculous, lads. Do you feel right what you're doing here? I haven't said a word. In fact, someone laid their hand and assaulted me outside court. Yeah, exactly. Other people swore at me and threatened me about my mother, and here I am being arrested for saying nothing.
I'm threatened to behead
I've done
me.
nothing.
You've not said anything about
What are they arresting you for, Tommy?
Breach of the peace. Apparently I'm inciting on my video. Can you please, George, get me a solicitor?
Yeah.
Because I'm on a suspended sentence, you see, so
he has actually done nothing wrong.
You can sort anything like that.
All it would take is for you to go through his video and see he's not. He's even said they're innocent till they're proven guilty.
It must have been right. Shameful that.
It's disgusting. And one of them.
Yes, it's quite delicious. What accompanied it was truly astonishing, where he was processed and sentenced and jailed quite quickly, to the point where the original thing was thrown out and had to be redone. A do-over, if you will. I'm sure he'll go back to prison after he's been properly charged and sent through the system as he should have been the first time around. Now, as we all know, he was treated pretty poorly in prison as well. We know what grooming gangs are like in this country, and we know especially what people who produce what Mr. Robinson does get in the form of criticism. And I give it that name charitably to describe all areas that could be considered criticism and or vicious assaults. I'm not playing the videos of him getting attacked. Now, I bring this up because the case he was reporting on involved 30 men who were involved in grooming. And this is important. The judge obviously didn't want any outside influence, and that's right. The judge was absolutely right. You want to make sure this gets done right, and then once they are all sentenced, yeah, blast them. Which is what we're going to do today. But before we get into that part, when it comes to child grooming, whenever I've covered it on this channel, not only am I instantly demonetized, but apparently people are getting the video shadow banned. I'm not going to ask you to share it or mirror the video or anything like that. I simply want you to tell me what the sentence you believe should be for those that commit this crime. Now, there are different crimes for individuals in this group, so of course when we get to those crimes, I would like you in the comments below to let me know whether or not the punishment is just, or whether you believe something else should be done. I know a lot of you have a very strong opinion that centers around capital punishment, and I know for a fact in this country many people have argued for it to be brought back, or used as a deterrent in the case of Priti Patel, the MP. That is her name. Here's a picture of her. See, real person. Use capital punishment as a deterrent. I played the clip once before. I do believe the BBC copyright claimed that video, so I'm not going to bother playing it here. Now, it is interesting to note that while people are trying their best to get the death penalty brought back, certainly when we talk about grooming gangs, there are a lot of people very passionate about this. It's important to note that we abolished it through a private member's bill in Parliament in 1965 by Sidney Silverman, and this basically meant that anyone who was charged with murder at the time treated as simply murder, and the death was commuted to life in prison. It was finally ratified and affirmed through both houses in 1969. There were a few final executions that did happen, but those were before 65. I don't know whether or not there's a huge amount of protesting that went on beforehand, but it does sound like something that may have happened after a lengthy amount of it. Certainly if it happened during the 60s, protesting, yeah, that sounds about right actually. And I'm not going to be drawn into the argument of whether I am pro or anti death penalty, or whether it is right or not, because I just don't care enough. And interesting to note, the article that we're going to cover has been changed. I know this because I dumped the link of this on my server yesterday, and the title of it does not match the title of what we're going to see. So I will show a picture of it on my server, and now a picture of the title now. Yeah, you've updated it. Oh dear, oh dear. I don't like it when articles do that. On mine it says, Huddersfield Asian gang jailed for more than 200 years. A day later on the Daily Mail now, Tommy Robinson celebrates jailing of Asian sex gang whose trial led to his arrest as he slams establishment for bailing them but locking him up after claiming one on-the-run rapist is in Pakistan. Well, I hope they catch him. Although it is the British police, so it's highly unlikely they'll bother. They are pretty shit, especially when it comes to grooming gangs. Metropolitan, Scotland Yard, local constabularies, I hope you're all listening. You suck at your jobs. You've let innocent people down, the actual innocent, because your reputation of being called racist mattered more to you. On the screen now are pictures of all those involved in this, that we have since named and shamed for what they did. Why is this one still wearing a turban or a headpiece? For a mugshot, take that off. As far as I'm concerned, any religious garb, get it off. I want to see your bald patch. These men manipulated, bullied, trafficked, raped, basically abused innocent lives. Can you see something about them though? About all of these men that look so familiar? Should I be wearing my tinfoil hat? I'll wear my tinfoil hat for this. Ah, so much better. Now that I'm wearing this, I can say, oh, look at these men of a certain Asian descent. Very specific area where a very, very common faith comes into mind, although this one did make me think he was perhaps a Sikh. If he is, oh dear, oh dear. But the rest of you, you all look like you grew up in Bolton, Leeds, Luton, Birmingham, Muslim gang hotspots, Rotherham, Telford. Are there other ones I should mention? Because there are many more of them, of course. So many of these grooming gangs. So now that I've prattled on long enough about all of that, let's dive into the article and address a number of comments that are made in it. The abuse, which centred in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, took place in cars, car parks, houses, a snooker centre, a takeaway, a park and other places. Why couldn't they have just said many places? At least one of the victims attempted suicide, and another had to have an abortion after becoming pregnant. The men referred to each other using a series of nicknames, which we will get to in a moment. Ringleader, this prick, was jailed for life earlier this year and told he must serve a minimum of 18 years in prison. A judge said, "Your treatment of these girls was inhumane." So what, they only get 18? Fuck off. Put a 0 on that. This same ringleader, who is married with children and converted to the Sikh religion, I was right. Wow, you have brought incredible shame to a community in this country that has done a lot of good. You, dickhead, deserve the additional O to your sentence. As a minimum, 180 years minimum, before even being considered, well, being considered to be removed from your cell and buried. He often took video footage of abuse taking place to share and distribute with other men. He also forced one victim to perform a sex act with a bottle. A lot of these men follow a trend. This trend is with many of the grooming gangs that have occurred. They find vulnerable and isolated girls, ply them with alcohol, drugs, and make them feel special. And once they have managed to get their foot in through the door, they kick the door in, and they treat you like they own you. Now I get it. Vulnerable backgrounds, mental disorders, learning difficulties even. I get it. Isolated, you want to feel special. I'm not going to try and defend these guys for a second, because they have taken advantage of vulnerable people. Vulnerable people who need good people in their lives to help them become better people. By tearing them down the way you have guaranteed a lot of these girls, the majority of which, are going to suffer. They are not going to succeed because they have been torn down and broken so that they were subservient to you. Your threats of harm, your threats of abuse, actually abusing them anyway, threats of murder at the extreme, harming their friends, their own family if they had any friends or any family at all. You abused them and broke them down and didn't rebuild them. You just made them suffer. This is why I don't consider many of the sentences given to be good, which is why I encourage any and all of you to tell me what you believe the sentence should be. Now, with the sentence of the ringleader, I stand by 180 years minimum, and then we can consider removing his corpse from his cell. Until then, leave it there. Just leave it there. You'll save money on food and electricity and water then, and then maybe stick some fertilizer in there. Now, I think we should skip on a little because we all know how this works out. The police did nothing because they knew nothing. They took the girls from isolated or vulnerable families, and they either trafficked them, raped them, drugged them, abused them after making them feel special and wanted and loved. Manipulation of the highest order. Now we should address each of them in turn and the sentence they got. And I'm going to try and pronounce these names, but if I fuck it up, who gives a shit? So we have first the dickhead, Amir Singh Dhaliwal, who is nicknamed Pratos, which I looked it up online to see if there's something special about it. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. Jailed for life, minimum 18 years. We all know I think that should be 180. Irfan Ahmed, nicknamed Finny, jailed for 8 years. Saeed, I know some of these are different charges, and they've altered the article, so the charges they have each been given have been removed. I know you've done this, Daily Mail, because I saw the original article and I wished I'd archived it. I will though find the charges as well. And as luck would have it, the BBC have it, so we're going to start again. Amir Singh Dhaliwal, guilty of 54 counts, including 22 counts of rape and then the sentence. Irfan Ahmed, or Ahmed, guilty of 1 count of sexual assault and 2 counts of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 8 years. I'll let you all decide on that one. Zihad Hassan, guilty of 6 counts of rape, 1 count of attempted rape, 1 count of sexual assault, 1 count of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 2 counts of child abduction, 2 counts of supplying Class A drugs, sentenced to 18 years. Mohammed Kamer, guilty of 2 counts of rape, 16 years. Mohammed Rizwan Aslam, guilty of 2 counts of rape, 15 years. Abdul Rehman, guilty of supplying a Class C drug, 1 count of rape, 1 count of assault, and 1 count of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 16 years. Raj Singh Bazran, guilty of rape and 2 counts of sexual assault, 17 years. Namen Mohammed, guilty of 2 counts of rape and 1 count of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 15 years. Mansoor Akhtar, guilty of 2 counts of rape and 2 counts of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 8 years. Wikas Mahmood, guilty of 3 counts of rape, 15 years. Nasarat Hussain, guilty of 3 counts of rape, 1 count of sexual assault, 17 years. Sajid Hussain, 2 counts of rape, 17 years. Mohammed Ifraz, guilty of child abduction, 2 counts of trafficking for sexual exploitation, 6 years. There's an inconsistency I'm noticing already. Faisal Nadim, guilty of rape and supplying Class A drugs, 12 years. Mohammed Azim, guilty of 5 counts of rape, 18 years. Manzoor Hassan, guilty of administering a noxious substance, inciting child prostitution and supplying a Class A drug, 5 years. Mohammed Akram, guilty of 2 counts of rape, 2 counts of trafficking for sexual exploitation and awaiting sentencing, along with Naiz Ahmed waiting for sentencing. I will, of course, with the other remaining people, I will tell you what their sentences are once they are made public. These men, in my mind, and I'm going to tell you what I think should happen, should all be put in one cell, and they should just exist in. You have violated children, manipulated them for your own selfish needs, whether it be for money, whether it be because you just wanted to hurt someone. I don't understand the mentality of people who want to go out of their way to do this to children. I try to understand people, but I don't want to understand this. I don't want to understand why you want to do that to kids, why you are so unable and incapable of respecting the law of the land. When you guys get to prison, I'm hoping it's a prison where there isn't a predominantly Muslim community, because they'll just welcome you with open arms. I'm hoping it's one where there's a standard. Hell, it could be a Muslim prison, but as long as they have standards where you don't abuse children. You need to understand that what you did puts you at the bottom of the ladder, and you are not heroes for it. You shouldn't be allowed out into the free world. You are no better than a gangbanger when you step foot in prison and start getting welcomed and accepted into your little precious brotherhood. And to finish, because I think a little slander might do me some good, your prophet's a paedophile and your book's a crock of shit. I hope everyone has a lovely Sunday, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
In your ass.
Imagine my shock.